What up? I'm Chepapelka. This is the Braves TomaBlog. I'm recording my first podcast since the Braves were eliminated from the postseason in Game 4 of the NLDS this past Monday. I was at the game. If I'm being perfectly honest with you, it was really cool just to get to be there. It was awesome to get to go. I had to skip a class to go to it. It's totally worth it. Just, for the experience, first time in 5 years of going to a postseason game, it was awesome to experience the postseason atmosphere. If I can be perfectly honest with you, it was kind of tough to watch. It was kind of tough to be there especially after the Manny Machado home run that broke it open. Already, the Braves' offense was anemic enough that you knew they were going to have a hard time coming back when they fell down 3-2. After the Machado home run, you knew it was over. You knew there was no chance, but you also knew there was an hour and a half left of this game that you just kind of had to sit through and know that the season was going to wither away. As it came to a close. It did. Afterwards, I wasn't sad that we lost. I was just sad that it was over. I was just sad that the 2018 Braves were no more. And as I was walking out, I got emotional at the end that I was like, that was the most fun season I've ever experienced in my life. And now that team is no more. So Nick Markakis gone. We've already declined sending him a qualifying offer, very wisely, I think. There's plenty of other guys like Suzuki, Anibal Sanchez. Whether they'll be back or not remains up in the air. But the 2018 Braves, for intents and purposes, is over. The only thing left to hope for is that 2019 can top it, which is going to be a tough act. But I think that 2019 should be about as fun, hopefully, as long as we maintain it. So I'm coming back. I needed a couple days to gather that in. I didn't really want to do a response right afterwards, and I was too busy anyway. But now I can just take a step back and look at the 2018 season from a little further away. I've had 4 days at this point to get to 500, 1,000 feet above the 2018 season to put it into perspective. Insane ride. Unbelievable. Never would have expected anything like that. So what I want to do today is just take a look at some of the math. I took a look at just some of the math that went on in 2018. The quantitative differences between the 2018 team and the 2017 team, which really, you take the 2017 team as the culmination of disappointment in my mind. I thought that the 2017 team was going to be so much better than it was. And for them to finish with 72 wins was extremely disappointing to me. The 2018 Braves are the culmination of everything that they could do. The culmination of the Braves proving that they were right the whole time. And hopefully 2019 will be a multiplicity of that. Hopefully 2019 will just be, we got ourselves even it's like how a musket only got more accurate until now we have snipers. Hopefully that's what you get from the Braves, is that they just button it up. Fewer walks, fewer strikeouts, more wins. But looking at some of the numbers, what's the difference between the 2018 Braves and the 2017 Braves? For one, both were projected to have 72 wins. Both teams were projected by both Fangraphs and USA Today to have 72 wins, and a lot of Vegas books projected 72 wins. The 2017 Braves had exactly 72 wins. Massive disappointment, especially after they started the season hot. The 2018 Braves had 90 wins. So the difference between those two teams is that the 2017 Braves went 72 and 90. The 2018 Braves went 90 and 72. That's an 18-game difference. That's a historic difference. That's something that no one else. Typically, you get one team per season that might win 12 to 15 more games. That was the Braves this year, and they did even more than that. What this team did is that it kicked the whole door down on the rebuild and on the narratives. Excuse me, my throat. Not doing too good, but they kicked the whole narrative down on this is a rebuild and all of that. This is the start of what we're about to be seeing. An 18-game difference is a massive difference. What made that difference? Because I remember at the beginning of the year talking about, well, this is a 72-win projected team, but they can easily win 80 games if they just button a few things up. Some of those things were bullpen ERA, beating the Phillies and the Marlins and the Mets, and getting the saves that they had blown the year before. Those were the main ones. that could easily just turn losses from last year into wins this year. I went through the quantitative differences, and it was pretty interesting to find. So we had 18 more wins in 2018 than we did in 2017. What's the difference? Where were those 18 wins hidden? Well, here are the regular narratives. Here are the ones that we all talk about. 49 and 27 against the NL East. That's where I say you changed the narrative. You didn't just change the narrative, you kicked their ass. The Nationals faltered, but it really didn't matter. You just knocked them. You had a winning record against everyone in the NL East. You absolutely slaughtered the Marlins and the Mets. 49 and 27. That's an unbelievable record against the NL East. And that's something you can only hope to reproduce next year, but that's not going to happen. They're going to have to find wins somewhere else. And the other major narrative is it's the best seventh inning and on offense in the league. I couldn't even find the numbers on it, but it was all year long we talked about how the Braves had the best offense from the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning on in the league. Those are the major narratives on what the difference was. So I looked into just some of those aspects and some of the things that could have made the difference between the 18 wins that we won. Some of the things that weren't the difference. There's some aspects that I thought were going to be the difference that we improved slightly or didn't improve. And there are some things that I found that really made the massive difference in there. So going through, let me start with what wasn't the difference. For one, I said bullpen ERA. Improve your bullpen ERA, get that down to league average, which we did get it around league average. It was still below league average, and you'll find a ton of wins there. For one, that was just true. We found 18 wins. The difference between our bullpen ERA, it was 4.58 in 2017. It was 4.15 this year. So we moved from 26th to 18th. In bullpen ERA. It still wasn't a good bullpen. The save percentage we improved from 61% in 2017 to 66.67% in 2018. We still had blown saves, and we still had plenty of them. AJ Minter still struggled. Arodys Vizcaíno still struggled at times. The bullpen was improved, but that was not the difference. That's not where you found your 18 wins in. Okay, so take our offense. We had this great offense that was leading the NL for the majority of the time. That was the difference, right? No, it was really not that improved of an offense in comparison to the offense in 2017. We forget because they went through such a bad slump, but it was a very good offense for much of the year when Tyler Flowers and Kurt Suzuki were doing so well, when Matt Kemp and Brandon Phillips were doing very well. Freddie Freeman had an MVP caliber first 2 months. And Ender Inciarte was much better in 2017. It was a pretty good offense in 2017. It faltered down the road. It really struggled, but the offense was not significantly better. We had 759 runs in 2018 versus 732 in 2017. So that's 27 more runs. That was an 11 spot difference in terms of where we finished in ranking, because 27 runs throughout the course of the year, it does make a big difference, but you scatter that throughout 162 games, we're nowhere close to, an extra run or anything per game. Our offense was not significantly better. Was it in home runs? We had more home run hitters. Not really. We had 10 more home runs. That's, again, an improvement, but that's not where the wins were hidden at. So do we just have that much more effective of an offense? No. Our OPS only went up 0.5 points. Our average went down 7 points, and our OBP went down 0.2 points. None of the regular offensive numbers were that big of a difference from 2017 to 2018. They did not make that big of a difference going into the season. What did make the difference? I found a couple things that made a big difference, just massive anomalies that were the difference in your 18 wins that you had. For one, starter ERA, unbelievable. Went from 4.80 in 2017 to 3.50 starter ERA this year. That's a 1.3 earned run per 9 inning difference. And we jumped from 22nd in the league to 4th in the league in starter ERA in 2018. For one, you would think that we would pitch more innings. That actually wasn't true. We pitched more starter innings in 2017 than 2018, but that was largely being force-fed by Brian Snitker, but really from the front office back in 2017. Starter ERA made a massive difference. So, what were they making the difference in? It's unbelievable. The strikeouts, 1,423 strikeouts in 2018 versus 1,258 strikeouts in 2017. We had 165 more strikeouts in 2018 than we did in 2017. Now, for one, everyone has a boost in strikeouts every year. There's a big jump in strikeouts every year. That's the way to winning right now, is striking batters out. If you can have a big boost in strikeouts, it makes a massive difference with Mike Fultonevich and Sean Newcomb striking batters out than it does to have them pitching to contact. Even though defenses are improved, if you can strike teams out, especially when you're facing teams like, strikeout-prone teams like the Mets and like the Marlins, if you strike them out, you beat them. Also the Phillies, another team that lives and dies on the home run ball. Strike them out and you get the win. One other massive difference that comes along with the starter ERA and the Ks, we allowed 607 earned runs this past year versus 756 earned runs in 2017. We allowed 149 fewer earned runs in 2018 than we did in 2017. Where is that? That's in the strikeouts, and that is in your defense. And so Alex Anthopoulos, we all heard him. That was his major point coming into the year. That was the major thing he talked about. What does he want to see from the 2018 Braves? He was not lying. He was not giving you some, I want to improve this thing for some random reason. I just like good defense. We had 149 fewer earned runs allowed. That makes a massive difference. That's almost one per game. 149 fewer earned runs allowed. Where is that in? That's in routine plays. That's in average range. That's in Camargo at third base instead of shortstop. That's in Ozzie Albies as an improvement over Dan Uggla. Brandon Phillips at second base. That's in a full season of Freddie Freeman at first base instead of a couple months of Matt Carpenter. That's in very solid defense from Nick Markakis, but generally it's still Nick Markakis. Ender Inciarte is still Ender Inciarte. But then, what do you have? You have Ronald Acuna in left field versus Matt Kemp. There were a ton of earned runs saved in your left field defense, I promise you. Between Ronald Acuna in left field and Dansby Swanson at shortstop, you saved a ton of runs, and that made a massive difference in your outcomes this year. And that brings me to my last one, 17 fewer errors. Dansby had 20 errors, so 17 fewer errors for the team this year. Let's count them all to Dansby. Dansby had way fewer errors. The team was a buttoned-up defense. They got the outs when they needed them. It made a massive difference. The starters weren't pitching more innings, even though it seemed like they were, but they weren't. They weren't pitching more innings. They were pitching more effective innings because they were striking batters out, and their defense was getting hitters out. And they were handling themselves on defense, and then the offense could shine a lot more. It's funny that the offense is not that big of an improvement. It had 27 more runs, but those 27 more runs went so much further than it would have last year with, 1 run higher, 0.4 earned runs higher on your bullpen and 1.3 runs higher on your starting pitching. Starting pitching had a massive drop in ERA. You allowed 149 fewer runs on 165 more strikeouts and 17 fewer errors. You won this year 18 more wins because your defense buttoned it up. That's the quantitative difference between the 2018 Braves and the 2017 Braves. Thank you for listening. Go Braves.